All right, welcome everyone. This is the weekly APM monitor monitor APM weekly meeting. So appreciate everyone coming. To start off with, I wanted to welcome Kirsty. She's a new backend engineer on the APM team, just started this week. So welcome, Kirsty. Do you want to just spend 1 minute quickly talking about kind of where you're from and kind of what drew you to GitLab?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Kirsty. I'm currently living in Pensacola, Florida, but before that I was in Denver, and I've lived a bunch of other places too. What drew me to GitLab was just the GitLab values and just the quality of the application, and just seemed like a really good place to be.
All right, sounds great. Well, looking forward to working with you. Good luck with all your onboarding tasks and doing that. All right, so thank you everyone for adding things to the agenda beforehand. That's great to see. So I know Miguel's not here, but we could talk a little bit about, so Sid posted a video about monitor and the direction of the monitor area, or the monitor stage within GitLab. The link's there, but I wanted to see if anyone had thoughts. I think that's what Miguel was looking for too, is to see people had thoughts or questions about it. Should it change our 12.4 plans? And I know both of you have some ideas around that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if there is someone that did not watch Sid's video, I would highly recommend doing so. I think it's great that he took the time to talk about the vision. I think it's a good place to start. Currently, we are working on our vision about monitoring, the vision statement that we have on the handbook. And I mean, once we'll have some sort of a plan to communicate to the team, I think we will have right now the immediate action that I think we need to do, which will likely to impact a bit 12.4, is that there is one issue around the authentication of Jaeger, which me and Matt discussed that probably we need to limit the scope to the extent of just putting a warning message. This is what Sid asked. And let's replace the whole thing with see how we can embed the Jaeger UI within the GitLab tracing tab. And by doing that, I think we won't invest in this iteration on tracing for now, and we're likely to focus more on metrics and of course on logs. But I do expect that it will probably change some of the issues that we will address in 12.5 and going forward.
And Ryan, you already moved those issues, is that right? I think I saw
that. That's right.
So the authentication issue we moved out back to the backlog, pulled in the iframe one. We might have to talk about it a little bit around, I think that's more front end heavy. The iframe one, so we can talk through that outside of this call though. Kenny, you had a...
Yeah, I just want to add a bit of color, a couple of things, and Dov and I talked about this earlier this week. So first of all, I can't remember if Sid explicitly said this, but I happened to be CEO shadowing with him when he was doing some of the investor conversations for the Series E round. And it came up a lot that people understand the monitoring space as a very lucrative tech space. It's a place where technology vendors are willing to spend a lot of money. And Sid is really, I think, challenging us to be more ambitious. And I will fault myself for, on a couple of occasions, I'll also give my caveat that like product managers have to juggle between, I've got a specific roadmap and I got to be really diligent about only focusing on the most important thing, but that we need to paint a long-term vision. And let's not lose sight of the fact that, 4 years ago, if you said GitLab is going to be the Gartner Magic Quadrant leader in CI, people would have said that's a joke. And we're going to do the same thing in ops, right? And in monitor specifically, we're going to be the data dogs and the Splunks of the world. It's hard to have a vision for that now, sitting where we are. But I want to make sure that I also emphasize to the team that I'm faulting myself here. We need to make sure we think from a perspective of abundance, right? That's our mission. We need to go figure out and ask for the resources that we need in order to go deliver on that mission. We're going to have to be diligent and efficient in our pursuit of it, but let's not let ourselves set our bar lower. I guess is what I'm trying to communicate, and Dov and I are going to be doing that in this vision update. But I want to make sure everybody understands this is a real opportunity that the company wants to proceed to go after, and I'm excited about it. I want everybody else to be excited about it. It's daunting, but it's a great challenge to go after.
I'd just like to add from a perspective of having done some ops and used a lot of the monitoring tools in a incident commander type role. I mean, the integration within one application is great. It would be great, because we've constantly were going to Sumo, going to New Relic, going to Grafana, going to all these different places to find things and to bring into what was going on in the incident. So if we can bring, if we're talking about owning the incident management and the tools and the way that we document and are able to go enable the ops folks to detect root cause and document all that, it'd be great, and it'll make ops folks daily job a lot easier. So having the integration is great, but I think from the flip side of that is that somebody newly coming into GitLab not going to toss out their Sumo or their New Relic or their Datadog because we said we got the best stuff. So we do need to let them bring whatever to the table until we can convince them our stuff is much better.
Yeah, and I think that's it's a very I've never worked at a place quite like GitLab on a lot of levels, but we challenge ourselves to be both our own worst, best critics, as well as boundless ambition, right? So we need to be able to look squarely at ourselves and say, these are the places we're deficient. I think we do a good job of that when we talk about our maturity and our current state of our tools. Nothing wrong with that. But we also need to make sure we're putting the flag in the sand that we're not going to settle for some mediocre middle state. We're after the big goal. I'll say I'm also thinking about this in the context of going through our 2021 fiscal year planning, which Dov and I have already talked about, is going to propose a very significant increase in our monitoring investment. So part of us painting that vision is to be able to use that vision as a justification for here's why we need the team size that we need to go pursue this opportunity. The last thing I'll comment on, and Dov mentioned this, there's an issue linked to that product issue, a merge request that Dov has of kind of like an open MR for updating the monitor vision. That vision page feels like it's something that only product managers can touch. That's not the case. All of you can and should. I think I've said this a number of times, but I'll continue to repeat it. Everyone can and should propose MRs to that at any time. It's a place for us to develop our current shared understanding of where we're headed, not for product to dictate our shared understanding. Product's the responsible individual, but it's not like only the domain and only a product manager can update it. And if there's something that you want to add to that document, you can open an MR. Well, Dov, I challenge you to make sure that anytime we have open MRs, we're communicating that to the team for input. So I don't think that one's ready for input yet. We're kind of still in work in progress phase, but let's make sure we're sharing those widely.
Sure. And regarding your comments, David, yeah, I agree that, going after the Dynatrace and the Datadog of the world might be daunting, but still, I do believe that we can progress really quickly, provide really clear flows without all the bells and whistles that they have, but enough to have enough content and enough value for customers to start using our tools for monitoring. So yes, it's challenging, but we can identify those flows. And
I think we can beat the bells and whistles with the integration for sure. Yeah.
Great, thanks for that context. Does anyone else have any thoughts about the video if you have watched it, or questions? All right, great. So then moving on, the next topic was about our demo. We have
I can present this as well. Miguel had
Great,
asked me
okay.
to kind of help
Sure.
him present
Thanks.
this. I'm actually not sure. And can everyone hear me okay? I'm on,
Yeah.
my Wi-Fi just cut out, so I'm on mobile. Let me know if you have troubles. I'm not sure so much that this is, well, I guess this is up for discussion, whether we should consider this instead of our demo hour, or whether we still find value in the demo hour and want to add this, or whether we just don't want to add this at all. But I think this touches more on regularly doing the development demos. The link there is under point C about regularly touching base and demoing the features that we have. I think the idea here that he was presenting was that we get to test these things when doing the demos and kind of get to keep a pulse on our feature set and make sure it's working. So I'll just start the discussion there. If anyone has any input, feel free to jump in on that. I think my input would be that as far as like the testing of features, I think probably we should actually just make sure our tests are where we want them to be and start including integration tests and end-to-end testing and all of that. So I don't know that we want to use the demo as a way to test stuff necessarily. I guess it could be considered a bonus, but my personal vote is that I think the demo, the format that we have right now, holds some value as far as seeing what people are working on before we merge something, as opposed to this more formal demo process.
I think something that would be valuable for me would be to just see since we've got a few new folks on the team, it'd be nice to see kind of a day in a life type. How do you do development? What's your environment like? What kind of things do you lean on most often? That would kind of help me say, okay, yeah, I don't need to go down this path, because I'll never be able to test blah feature or implement blah feature without doing a GDK cluster or something along those lines. It's super helpful. Every time I've paired with somebody and said, okay, show me what you do, and we both come away knowing a lot more about how to be more effective with our development. And that's not necessarily demoing a particular feature, but it's like making sure we're all kind of on the same page from a tool standpoint.
Yeah, and I think from my point of view, I do like the kind of informal demo hour. I think it encourages everyone on the team to be more willing to just demo what they're working on without having to put a lot of process around it. That said, I think there is a place for, and I think, hey, Julie, you kind of mention this in your comment as you're typing here, but I think there's a place for this kind of more formal process or demo too. Maybe it's not a regular meeting or anything. Maybe we need to just have kind of ad hoc, like bigger overviews of demos of like, here's what tracing looks like in GitLab. And that's not a great example because it's pretty not really fleshed out. But for example, say this is what it looks like. Here's a demo of it, record it, and then that's kind of where we are for today. And then that's a good thing we can share with as new people are coming on. We can put it in our maybe in our documentation in the handbook and other places. But we can, if we have some, not like every week, but have some kind of demo that we can share it with people to show this is what the APM team, these are the features we work on. I think there's some value to that too, which is something, it's a demo, but it's kind of outside of this kind of regular demo hour that we have now. Is there other thoughts on demos for right now? Adriel, I like the idea of maybe opening an issue to discuss how we do that and if we want to do that. I think that would be a good place to do that, so we don't have to, yeah, we don't have to take a ton of time here to discuss that, but I think that's good. This kind of goes along with what I was just saying. It kind of goes along with number 5. So I don't know if we want to jump to that or we want to go with number 4 here.
No, go with number 5 and then
okay.
We'll get to my point.
Okay, sounds good. So, Diraj, you want to talk about the demo project?
Yeah, absolutely. So I noticed that quite a lot of folks and teams have their own demo projects, and my idea was to have one dedicated demo project that everybody has access to, and it's kind of like a shared project, and then that demo project would kind of be like our showcase. So you're showcasing all the capabilities of APM and help maybe. One of the benefits of this is that currently, because everybody's having their own demo projects, they're using up resources from GKE. And the reason I started this is because when I was trying to create a cluster for myself to test a particular feature, I realized I couldn't create another GKE because we've crossed the limit. So I thought it'd be nice if we all use one demo project. It would be like our CD machine, sort of, and that'll be our one source of truth, and everybody's kind of referring to the same project. And I hope we'll have a project on gitlab.com and also on the staging, so that we know when we're referring or when we're kind of verifying a particular issue, we can verify each one of these. And I see that people have commented under my bullet point that that is exactly what I'm talking about. Everybody has their own demo project.
Proof
and,
right there.
Exactly, and it'd be nice if we kind of put all the efforts into one project and kind of make that more concrete, and we could hopefully all PMs can use that for demos in future as well. So that was the idea behind that.
Yeah, can I ask just one? The B, so 4B that I added is not a demo, it's just a live project that happens to be public so we can have access to it. I don't know if does that solve any percentage of the use cases where we're kind of trying to say, how do we interact with this feature? Does it need to be something where you can like maybe have more administrative control than you would get in something like that?
I haven't looked at this one. Actually.
It's basically just like a project that uses auto DevOps in a live production environment. That's, it's GitLab service. So
it's kind of like that. It's just within the monitor space. But yeah, something like that. And also another thing I noticed is that there's a lot of knowledge gaps. Like, as I said, everybody's creating their own projects. Nobody knows if there is a project. You go ask, somebody just points to their own project, and it's just, it's everywhere. And it'd be nice to kind of put everything together in one place and kind of focus on that. But yeah, just like the link you posted out there, something like that, if we could replicate that on our workspace and kind of show that this is what the entire team is working on, that'd be great.
Yeah, and I guess it comes down to, are we trying to just show the capabilities, or like you couldn't set up alerts on this and you couldn't go see the performance results from a merge request, but there are just like, I want to look at dashboards. You could probably do that on this. It's not in staging, but anyway, I agree that we should have some consolidated demo. I'm willing to say Sarah had proposed having one at least central for the product team in her project. I'm willing to say like, no, we won't do that if we're going to pursue one for the whole kind of like organization. I guess just it's up to the team. I would rather share that effort with you all than just have a product one.
Yeah, so Jose has a project kind of similar to what we have over there, and I've been working with Jose and Clement to kind of move that project onto the monitor workspace. We've got that done. So we're trying to create another project in staging. And so once all of it is done, the plan is to kind of announce this in the team meetings and let everybody know that we have something like that. And this is what we're supposed to look at, update, I don't know, the onboarding templates, and kind of let everybody know that we have something like that. And then maybe if you want to add new things on that, people can just create merge requests and change that project.
Cool.
By the way,
I
one
guess
comment, while we are building this, and whoever is building it and working on that, make sure to open issues if you see some things about like the onboarding experience. I mean, I talked about it with several people from the team here, that it's really hard to set up, at least was for me at the beginning, it was really hard for me to set up like a demo environment for monitoring, a simple one. And if it was hard for me, I guess it's even harder for our users. So any roadblock that you see, anything that you see doesn't make sense, open an issue and let's fix that.
I guess there may be some value in having two separate ones. One, I don't know, it depends on how product plans on using the demo project, because I think the other use case for us would be testing new features as they get merged into production. And I think that's probably where the developers, well, please correct me, somebody, if I'm wrong, but I think that may be a large majority of where developers' interest in this comes, is that we need to actually verify these features in production, which means that we may be adding alerts to charts or something like that. And I don't know how that'll all work with, if we're adding a dummy alert and then triggering emails to everybody, maybe that's not I don't know, maybe we want a dedicated project for that sort of thing as opposed to.
That's exactly what product wants to do, I think. So,
oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So then it's all one and the same. That's
Yeah.
great. That works then. Okay.
And just don't forget that the GitLab community at large, the wider GitLab community may need to, contribute to the monitoring and APM area. So we need to make sure that the development story is easy to, to get involved with and make contributions to. And I think some of these projects and instructional projects would help in that respect as well.
Okay. Dove's point.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so I was looking at the planning board for 12.4 and the list of items and issues just grew from 20 something to 33. And I guess that those are some items that will slip from 12.3 and moved immediately to 12.4. I think it would be good if we will, on the issue maybe, put a note about the level of effort that is left for this task, because some issues, I believe that if they didn't get in 12.3, maybe, they should not move immediately to 12.4, and maybe we need to discuss them. And of course, if there isn't a lot of work to be done yet, so if there is a lot of work to be done, then maybe we'll just, complete it and close them. But I would like to see, if possible, the level of effort that got left. So I'll be more, understand more about the priority here, because I think that the amount of issues is still extremely high. So basically, my ask is, let's think about level of effort that left when we are moving features immediately to the next release.
I guess I'll go ahead and verbalize my question here. I'm wondering, do we want to actually use the issue weight for something like this? Would that be helpful to see, Dove, if we were to kind of assign that?
I think yes. I think we can try at least.
Yeah, just one thing you should be like, if you were using issue weight normally, you would say at the start of this issue, we assigned it a weight of 5. But what Dove is asking for is what's the delta that remains left
Yeah.
over from the work we've already done.
I mean
So-
both. Yes, both. I mean the weight and the delta, because if there was like a lot of work that was invested already in the feature and doesn't remain a lot of work to do, then makes sense. So for me, in order to work on that offline, the amount of level of effort and plus the weight, which makes sense, and I guess it's something that I need to put in also, is something that will allow me to work async while planning the next version or the coming version.
So maybe we
I
could
guess
make that.
the thing I just want to point
Go
out
ahead,
about weight
Kenny.
is like, you don't think about weight as during the course of the release shrinking down to 0. And what we're proposing is that that's how we're going to use it. So I think we might use weight for a whole different purpose.
I thought weight. Okay, I thought weight is for priority. Okay.
No, yeah, weight is level of effort. We should be setting that at the start of the release, but in this case, I think what you're really looking for is when something moves from one release to another, there should be some description of the remaining amount of work.
Yeah, the amount of, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
I guess my question was, I don't think we're using weight at all right now. Like, I'm pretty sure we're not touching it. So, but yeah, it makes sense. We shouldn't do that. It's too confusing to use it as the delta.
So maybe
what does that mean? I guess that means just the engineers responsible for it would probably be the best ones to answer that. I guess just leave a comment in there with like how much level of effort is left for anything that didn't make the previous milestone. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. I mean, that would be
okay.
What I need. Okay. Next one.
Oh yeah, that's mine again. Yeah, I know we recently started with this weekly meetings and everything, so there's more of a suggestion. I think it would be beneficial, especially for me, if we started the weekly meetings with kind of like the roadmap, the epic level features, what we're targeting for the next couple of releases, and then we go dive into the smaller details as to what missed the deadline or what did not, what kind of features. So starting off with something like this link that Adriel gave me the other day was pretty useful, kind of just looking at the big picture. What are we really shipping? What at the epic level? And where we are at this moment and how we are going towards our target. So kind of that big picture would be really helpful, especially for me. So yeah, that's all.
I'll start this, and then, I mean, Dov, this is for you to respond, but I just want to say that link you provided, I don't think is valid information and is a result of the fact that I wasn't doing a good job of planning using epics. So just don't look at that and think those are the themes. Dov, if you want to start organizing issues into epics and then making this an actual correct representation of what the team is working on, so be it. But shame on me for this not being correct at the moment.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I'm planning to put it in a better shape in the coming weeks, so we'll be able to present it to the team. Yeah.
I think some of it should be accurate. Like I think I made a bunch of these epics as well. So maybe it's not accurate, because if Dov hasn't looked at it and Kenny hasn't looked at it, then we should throw it out. But I think at least some of the issues, I mean, what I'm saying is I think like some of them are actually organized by what issues go in when. And so the actual timeline of releases should be okay on some of them. We'll have to groom it, but it may not be as far off as.
Yeah, let me give you an example. Actually, if you just change the label on that to Geo, let me tell you the specific one. There's a PM who's done this pretty well. Is it just Geo? Group Geo? You'll see what I would consider like a more robust, complete roadmap. I think that's what you can strive to communicate with this roadmap feature in our product, but I'm just saying, like, there's been none of that level of organization by the product team, by that horrible product team we had before today.
You were not terrible, Kenny. We did great.
I'm just happy to have Dov on board because
I know
he will outshine me. It's a low bar, but you will outshine me.
Okay, I didn't mean to stir up a conversation on this at all.
No, it's so Raj, it's a perfectly, I think like we have this tool, it's super useful. It's a great way of providing that context. We should talk about it start of every meeting. Dove can talk about any updates and kind of what he's thinking, what he's seeing. It's important for the product organization to be communicating that in this call. It's perfectly valid to ask for it. I'm just it's tongue in cheek. We all do our best, so.
Right. So regardless if we use that roadmap tool or not, I think that the goal is the same, that it would be great for our team to have a common view of our highest priorities, what we're working on, what we're working towards, and then we can drill down from there. So
yeah, and it will be also good to exchange ideas. I mean, as I mentioned, as we write epics, as I always said, we don't hold all the answers, so brainstorming on those also can help.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. I just had a couple housekeeping things, but do other people have topics they want to bring up? If not, the first thing I had was about this meeting time specifically. So we alternate meeting times. This one specifically is pretty late for Dove, right? It's 9:30 or something.
No.
9 o'clock.
I asked for that time.
That's true.
It's okay.
However, it is 9 p.m. on the start of your weekend, so I feel guilty about that. So I was wondering if this time on a different day.
So it's okay. It's a bi-weekly thing.
Okay.
So it's okay.
Well, so I'll speak for Dove. Like, I do think we would not ask other people to join late on their Friday evenings. So
right.
We probably chose Thursday because we thought it's not Friday, and we don't want to do that, so we could choose another day. Just as easily.
Okay.
I thought about it, but we start moving things, and I said, okay, let's keep it on Thursday, and that's okay for now.
All right. Well, I might just move it regardless. But similar alternating times, but maybe on just a different day of the week. So if that happens, you won't be surprised. And then the last thing, I kind of want to bring this up at the end of every meeting. Just a reminder to everyone that we have this asynchronous retrospective. It's only going to provide value if people contribute to it. So I'm just going to remind everyone every week to bring that, to add anything to that. I put the link to the current one that we have open. We will open a 12.4 version of that. We kind of leave, last release, we closed the 12.21 a little bit too early, I think, because people were still reflecting on that release and they had to put some of those comments in this 12.3 retrospective. So we kind of talked about leaving it open for a week after milestone. So we'll do that and then we'll open a 12.4 one. But regardless of whichever one it is, please use that tool. And then we kind of talked about it a little bit last time, but it might be worthwhile for our team to kind of review some of the highlights of that retrospective document, maybe in this meeting, or we can think of a good way to do that, but we can discuss that offline too.
I just thought of a last minute item.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm hearing myself twice. What is going on? Okay, I'm just not going to listen to myself.
Okay, there, I fixed it. All right, sorry. My Wi-Fi is crazy right now. Okay, so my question is about our stand-up meetings. I have lately been finding, and I know that it's already in the 12.3 retro, which is what reminded me of this, that we might want to consider splitting the retro or the stand-ups into APM and health, which I think is a good start. But I'm also not really finding the questions very helpful. And it's not, I don't know that it's anyone's fault. I think it's just that the questions are general, and I don't know. I'm just wondering if people are finding it helpful, then I won't spend time on this, but I've been thinking about reworking some of these questions to, I don't know, more directly focus on the information that we really want to surface in a stand-up. Because I think, most of the time we all know that one another is we're all working on our current milestone deliverables and doing all that kind of stuff. It, you know, I mean, not that it's bad to know that, it's just, I'm wondering if other people are finding it helpful. And if they are, then I'll leave it alone. But if not, then I think I want to spend some time rethinking those questions. So I'd like to hear from other people if you are willing to share.
Yes, I agree that the questions, maybe they're getting stale. Maybe we're getting used to them. So it might be good to change it up just so people have to kind of think about it again. I've noticed a lot of people will kind of just group everything into one answer, and instead of kind of answering each one individually. And I do that as well. So I'd be all for, I don't have a good answer for what kind of questions we should ask, but I'd be willing to help you look into that too, if people would think that would be useful.
Is it easier to answer one question instead of like 4? I mean, maybe what we need to do is just simplify it down to one question if that makes more sense to people. With the exception of maybe like what went well this week, you know, the non-work related one, that one would probably have to be separate.
Yeah, I do enjoy something you did outside of work question.
Okay.
We can change that a little bit to, if we need to, but that provides a little color commentary, which I enjoy.
Okay. Well, the silence at least tells me that nobody, it doesn't, my sense, I take that to mean that nobody finds it so helpful that we're closed to change. So I'll put together a proposal, I guess, and an issue, and then we can discuss there.
And yeah, the first part of your question was, should we split health and APM? And I think that would be valuable as well. People can always be in both channels and read everyone's comments, but I think it would help focus the team, especially as both teams are growing as fast as they are. I think that might be a good time to kind of revisit that.
Maybe for Amelia's sake, we should align with health on what the questions are then, so that she's not doing 2 stand-ups every day, because that could be
that's a good point.
A pain.
Yeah. I don't know how, I don't even know if you can hear me. I tried to talk before, but my microphone was not working.
Yeah, we got you.
I think probably eventually and probably soon we have a new UX designer starting on Monday. So I think we're probably going to be splitting. So that would be a short-term problem. And yeah, it does seem like I would agree with what's been said, that like it's getting to be a lot of people to keep track of every day, though I would be sad to miss hearing about what everyone's up to. It does seem like it might be time just to separate our stand-ups. And also in the infrastructure lounge, they have like it seems like a randomly generated question, which is always funny. And the answers that they get are really surprising. So maybe something like that could be fun. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, I
feel
like
a lot
that.
of times that I could answer an interesting question less than what interesting thing did you do yesterday, because I'm not digital native, so I don't have an Instagram life. It's pretty boring around here.
Yeah, I think Geekbot does support, you can have kind of a long list of questions, it'll just pick a random one. So that is something that might be a fun way to do that instead of the same, what did you do yesterday question too. Yeah, thanks for bringing this up, Adriel.
Yeah, out of this item, hot off the presses, we're starting the FY 2021 planning process. The issue I linked is just for the ops side that just created that issue, but I'll link, it's a related issue, but I'll link the broad-based one or the company-wide one.
Sure.
I thought people might generally be interested in how we're approaching this problem. This is just our current thinking. We'll probably update the tasks and process there. But the ops issue, I have some specific questions. Like one of the things we're trying to ask is, are our gearing ratios correct? In order, like, and that is that we use the word gearing ratios to talk about our default back-end engineers to engineering manager, back-end engineer to front end, number of product designers per group, number of QA per back-end engineer, like those kinds of ratios that form a product group. I'd like to get team's input on if they feel like those numbers are correct for your specific area. I don't even know what the current numbers are, but maybe just think about the team today. Would you want to adjust it if we were to have many more teams? And then the other one is we kind of stay focused within a year on a certain set of categories, but this planning period is the time to think about, should there be whole new categories that we're pursuing? So I'd love the team's thoughts on, there are other categories in the monitor stage that we should be going after.
Just for to make sure I'm thinking about it right, when does that fiscal year actually start?
The 1st of February. So
February.
our
Okay.
fiscal year is offset by a month.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. Yeah, and it's a process that will happen over the next 2 months, but we're starting to think about it, and I'd love some early input. You can also use it to just follow along.
Great, thank you for that. Other people have any more topics?
Yeah, just an FYI, I'll be out almost throughout this next week until Wednesday, and also the following week. So this month is there's a lot of major holidays in Israel, so I'll be on and off. Calendar is up to date, but just an FYI, might be off the grid from some time.
Another FYI for myself, I'm gonna be out. I won't see you until the 28th, so best of luck on this release, and yeah.
Enjoy the time off.
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy
Thank
it.
you.
And I'll bring it up for Ruben since he's not here. He's also going to be off for a couple weeks starting next week. So he's going on vacation too for 2 weeks, I think. So yeah. All right. I think that's it. So thank you, everyone. And we'll talk again next week.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.